You know, excuse me. It sure doesn't sound like the Southeastern Conference wants to have more competition. Forget about the crossover game with the Big Ten. Forget about that. I'm not even talking about the models, automatic qualify. I'm talking about the next Southeastern Conference expansion. I mean, it's going to happen. The Southeastern Conference is not going to stop at 16 teams. It's going to happen. I'm sorry. It's going to happen. It's going to happen. But it doesn't sound like the Southeastern Conference is interested in giving the current football programs more competition. I mean, again, Greg Sankey again said today. The thought of going to 9 conference games in the SEC conference, that idea is very cold to the coaches in the room. Greg Sankey said of Paul Feinbaum just a little bit ago, we've got to make a decision on 2026. We kind of know where we're going. I'm paraphrasing. It sounds like they're staying at 8 conference games. It sounds like they can't get to 9 conference games, even though Greg Sankey wants the conference. Personally, he wants the conference to go to 9 conference games. But it ain't. They cannot get enough people on board. So if you think about it, we've talked about it here at Peek Around the Corner. On June 15th of 2024, we reported it. We reported that Florida State and Clemson are not the number 1 or number 2 targets for the Southeastern Conference. And we gave all the reasons why. We don't have to go down in that rabbit hole, but again, North Carolina, Virgin Country, not SEC Big Ten, student apocalypse, international, blah, 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 blah. But maybe there's just one more reason. Maybe the big reason why Clemson and Florida State are not the number 1 targets or the number 2 targets for Southeastern Conference expansion is because, quite honestly, from their perception, it looks like they cannot handle anymore. They don't want any more blue bloods. They don't want any more football competition. They took on Texas and Oklahoma. They believe they are the best conference in the land. I agree with them. Does it sound like to you that the Southeastern Conference is pining to add Florida State and Clemson? I have believed, and I made my prediction on April 9th. It was not a report, it was a prediction. My prediction was they were going to need Florida State and Clemson to go with North Carolina and Virginia to grease the skids. The presidents want North Carolina and Virginia. The presidents want North Carolina and Virginia. The Southeastern Conference presidents want North Carolina and Virginia. Non-football reasons. Well, maybe the football coaches want North Carolina and Virginia. And I don't mean any disrespect to the Tar Heels or the Cavaliers. I'm just saying. I ain't saying, but I'm just saying. They're not. There is no indication. No indication. Look. Maybe the Southeastern Conference. Now, hold on here. Hold on. If the Southeastern Conference does not do the big scoop, it brings up a lot of options and questions for the Big Ten. We will get to that next. I know this show is about Missouri today. I know this show is about Drinkwitz agreeing with the Big Ten. And the spotlight is on the Mizzou Tigers. And by the way, I'm this close to making it official about Missouri finishing in 4th in the Southeastern Conference and getting to the college football playoffs. Greg the Gold is that far away. I'm serious. Baylor and Missouri, I'm dead serious. I have fallen in love. And Louisville. We'll get to Missouri. We will get to Missouri Tigers. We're going to get to, and they're playing Kansas. Holy smokes. I think that is September 13th, I think. No. Eli is fine. Drinkwitz is fine. Missouri is fine. This is Greg the Gold, the year of Greg the Gold. Everybody's fine. The curse is no longer. But I'm telling you guys, maybe, just maybe the Southeastern Conference. And by the way, all these conferences have gamed all these scenarios out. Maybe the Southeastern Conference. Now, we're just speculating here, guys. But I know, and you can take whatever I say, you can throw it away. But I know that North Carolina is the Southeastern Conference #1 target. They have moved their forces into place. The next 18 months, the next 17 months is their sweet spot, their political sweet spot. Before the next governor's race, before the next midterm really takes into place. This is the Southeastern Conference sweet spot for North Carolina. We are just entering into it. Maybe, just maybe, the Southeastern Conference is not going to go to their 9th conference game until the conference is ready to expand. And maybe the Southeastern Conference is not going to go to the 9th conference game until they're ready to expand with North Carolina +1, which we think is going to be Virginia. Maybe the Southeastern Conference is not going to go to their 9th conference game until they're ready to expand, which is North Carolina +1, which would induce the college football playoffs to be able to expand from 12 to 16. I'm just speculating here, guys. It's just not me who is speculating this today. Something is not adding up. Something is not adding up. Greg Sankey wants a 9th conference game. ESPN is willing to pay for it. The biggest, baddest, the biggest brand schools in the SEC want a 9th conference game. But these coaches are saying, no. No. They're saying no to the play-in games. They're saying no to the automatic qualifiers. They're saying no to a 9th conference game. They're saying no. Don't load us up any more than what we are loaded. And if that is the case, and if Greg Sankey keeps acquiescing to them for now, if the athletic directors keep acquiescing to the coaches for now, when the Southeastern Conference expands, it all makes logical sense that the coaches and the presidents might be on the same page, and ESPN is willing to pay more for that 9th conference game anyways. Maybe, just maybe, Clemson and Florida State is not going to be part of the plan. We are speculating right now. But look, guys, Greg Sankey said it again today. He's saying, I am not against the AQ model. We have interest. But nobody's going to demand us to go to 9 conference games. Look, the Big Ten decided this is Greg Sankey today. He said the Big Ten decided to go from 8 to 9 during one of their media renegotiations of their media contract. He says what we got in front of us is 5 plus 7, 5 plus 9, or 5 plus 11. He just said it on Paul Feinbaum. Petiti has said we're not going to 16 at a 5 plus 11 unless everybody's playing 9 conference games. And the Southeastern Conference is not ready to do that. They're not ready to do that. And why is the Southeastern Conference not ready to do that? I think it's because they have chosen to only expand to 9 conference games when they are ready to expand the conference. And then at that time, the college football playoffs could be expanded. I think this is what the Southeastern Conference has gamed out. Let me know in your comments. Let me know in your super chats. Let me know in your phone calls how wrong I got it. But man, it sure seems like that. And there are other people chattering about this. Not this ain't just me. I'm telling you. And if you think about it, let's go down the rabbit hole just a little bit more. Let's go down the rabbit hole just a little bit more. Let's just say that my prediction of April 9th is wrong. And by the way, I said I only had about a 1% chance of getting it right because there's so many variables. We just put out a prediction. But what if we are incorrect? What if I'm incorrect? What if the Southeastern Conference decides not to do the big scoop? Which I think is going to be a big mistake. But again, what if the Southeastern Conference is not willing to do the big scoop? For whatever reason, because Georgia and Alabama don't want Clemson in. They don't want Florida State. They don't want that extra another layer of competition laid upon them with NIL and red. Pretty soon it becomes too much of a disadvantage for the big time schools in the Southeastern Conference to load up that much competition from their perception. So what if it's just the North Carolina +1 scoop? What if this Southeastern Conference has made an internal decision? As you know, we've done all the peeking that we possibly can do. We are going to continue to poke and prod. The forces have moved in North Carolina. The forces are starting to move in Virginia. We know a couple years ago, Pete Thamel said North Carolina, Virginia were the number 1 targets. Heather Dinich has said that for the Southeastern Conference. Dennis Dodd has said that. Brent McMurphy has said that. BTM and Associates have said that. Everybody has said that. What if the Southeastern Conference actually stops at 18? What if internally, they cannot do the big scoop? I think economically they could. In fact, I think adding Florida State and Clemson helps economically, helps North Carolina, Virginia. But what if they just internally, they can't do the big scoop? And the Southeastern Conference abides by what the coaches and the athletic directors want. And by the way, the presidents want. Maybe not so much what ESPN wants. Maybe they just add a North Carolina, Virginia. Let's pretend that is what happens. A North Carolina +1 without the big scoop. What does the Big Ten do then? What does the Big Ten do at that point? If the Southeastern Conference takes North Carolina, Virginia, which, by the way, is what the Big Ten wants, is what their presidents want, what does the Big Ten do then? Of course, they talk to North Carolina. They talk to Notre Dame. But is that the time? Could the blend be in play? Could the Miami and Florida State blend be at play at that point? Which to me, honestly, is inconceivable, except, well, today I'm starting to question, because the Southeastern Conference is not acting at all. They don't care how great a value of football you bring into they don't want it. They don't want it, man. They do not want it. From their perception, they've already playing the best schedule across. They're taking on way too much. As it is, they're going to bring Florida State and Clemson in and have Florida State and Clemson get all that SEC money, all that exposure. It sure sounds like the coaches do not want that. I don't think the athletic directors want. I don't think they want the smoke. And I'm not ripping on the current SEC coaches or institutions. But the way they talk, every single time there's a microphone put in front of them, it sure doesn't sound like they're looking for a couple of giant football programs like Clemson and Florida State. It has been leaked. It's been leaked 1,000 times. It has been leaked that the Southeastern Conference desires is at North Carolina. Maybe one of those reasons, a bigger reason than I ever give it credit to, is because North Carolina would not be this yearly big-time threat in college football in the SEC. North Carolina +1, whatever that +1 is. A North Carolina State, a Virginia, which I happen to think is going to be, whatever that +1. Whatever that +1 is not going to be a yearly threat to Alabama, Georgia, Florida, like a Florida State Seminole, like a Clemson Tiger. So if you go down that rabbit hole, and I may be going down the wrong rabbit hole, maybe my big scoop prediction is going to end up being correct, because I cannot fathom the ESPN. I cannot fathom ESPN or Greg Sankey giving the Big Ten the opportunity to take a Miami and Florida State. A Miami, Florida State, and Clemson. A Miami, Clemson, Notre Dame. A Miami, Clemson, Florida State, Notre Dame. I cannot fathom any of that. That is why my April 9th prediction, I put out the prediction that SEC would take North Carolina, Virginia, Florida State, and Clemson. They would go to 20, and then the Big Ten would take Miami, and at that point, Notre Dame probably will break loose from their football independence. But if not, then Miami and a Georgia Tech, Miami and a Duke, Miami, Stanford, and Notre Dame. Who knows? But we predicted Notre Dame and Miami at that point. But the way the Southeastern Conference is talking, every time they talk, it sure doesn't sound like they're interested in Florida State and Clemson. I don't think they are interested in that smoke. I think they've got enough. They think they've got enough. Look at their ratings. Look at the money they're making. Look at how the Southeastern Conference is set up. We know, because it's been leaked, that the Southeastern Conference is looking at something else in the next expansion. But lordy, 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 I actually did not believe that the blend of Miami and Florida State could ever be available to the Big Ten. Florida State's got issues with the Big Ten. I've been honest about that. I've been honest. But look what Florida State has done before, just a little bit before the settlement happened, after the settlement. Look what the state of Florida has done with genome research. And we've said it, we reported it here at Peek Around the Corner. The relationship between Florida State and Miami is a good one. Not the fans, but that's great. You don't want the fans to have a good relationship. But those two schools, they're fine. And what about Clemson? What about Clemson? They're not going to get to the Southeastern Conference if again, I'm just going speculation rabbit hole here. I predicted Clemson to the Southeastern Conference. But is there another reason why? I mean, Clemson has got a whole, the chatter behind the curtain is so consistent with Clemson. There is no moving around. Clemson, for whatever reason, has built up a lot of great relationships. They are highly respected. The university is not a Big Ten university. Florida State University is much closer to being a Big Ten university. But there is, look, Clemson has a much better relationship with Notre Dame. I mean, look at the agreement they just did between Notre Dame and Clemson. That is not just about Clemson's viewership. It ain't. It's important, but it ain't all that. So I am a little bit thunderstruck by the Southeastern Conference and how they're communicating. But look, I mean, from their perception, look, they believe that their conference is so much better than the Big Ten. You can read it in the comments. The Big 12 fan base believes that. ACC fan base. If everybody truly believes that, then why would the SEC conference, in the way they're talking, why would they add a Florida State and Clemson? Maybe, just maybe, this college football playoffs is stuck at 12, which I'm fine with for now. But maybe we're stuck at 12 because the Southeastern Conference doesn't want to go to 9 conference games. They don't want to pull that trigger. They don't want to pull that extra money guarantee with ESPN until they bring in a North Carolina +1. And when they do that, then the door is open for a bigger playoffs and possibly AQ model. Possibly. And then what does the Big Ten do after that? Holy smokes. Now, I'm not going to change my prediction. On April 9th, I said the Southeastern Conference, I predicted, it was not a report, I predicted the big scoop from the Southeastern Conference. I went on the Mark Rogers show and I said my prediction is the big scoop for the Southeastern Conference. I have talked to people behind the curtain, the chatter behind the curtain, and I have said I believe the Southeastern Conference is going to do the big scoop. And I got to tell you, a lot of people believe the same thing. A lot of people believe the same thing, that the Southeastern Conference is targeting North Carolina and Virginia, targeting them. They do not want the Big Ten to get North Carolina and Virginia. They are targeting those two universities. People of Southeastern Conference interest are involved in targeting North Carolina and Virginia. Politicians are involved. But I thought they would need and they would want Florida State and Clemson to grease the skids with ESPN, but maybe the skids are already greased. If they wait on the expansion to go from 16 to 18, if they wait and they do it together, 16 to 18, redo their media contracts, then they go to a ninth conference game, then all that happens at once. It doesn't sound like Sankey is interested in going to a ninth conference game because of the college football playoffs, because of anything else. He wants to go to 9. His coaches don't. I think some of his athletic directors, even though it's extra money, don't. They don't want that extra competition, that 9th game against an SEC opponents. And they may not be interested in adding a Florida State and Clemson. We've got a stacked show. We are going to talk about that. We're going to talk about Missouri. We're going to go under the spotlight, the Missouri Tigers, every single day, every single week. Even their schedule, even their football schedule, tells me that Missouri Tigers, I believe in Missouri. I believe they're going to get to the college football playoffs. Tell me how crazy I am in the comment section, in the chat room. And by the way, let's go to the chat room so we can do our roll call. Jared Jones is in the house. Bo Weevil, Don Scruggs, AMAC, the Big Gun Shop, John Dry, Georgia, Don Scruggs, the Evil Badger, Jeff Olson, Richard L., Jansen Roberts is in the house. Drink's 30-team playoff, that is not what he said. That's not what he came on later. Look at his X account. I think you know what he meant by that. I'm going to go through it. He doesn't really want a 30-team playoff. That's not what he really said. Nick Kelsel is in the house. Rod Nix, the architect, is here. Stormy Cyclone is here. Tim Bells is here. Coy, thanks for coming on in. Jose is in the house. Nick Kelsel, Charlie Atwood, Chris Kenny. Thanks for coming on in, guys. I appreciate it. Bob Swanger, John Dry, Baylor, Louisville, Mizzou, Lee. Ryan Brooks is in the house. Florida Man, Gold Nose. Jeff Fuller is here. Mick Stevens is here. Caleb Ramirez, MBM. MBM is in the house. Daniel Gygax. Anthony Carlson, Mr. Sparty is back in the house. Heelan, Florida is here. Kenneth Stromness, BYU is here. Who else? I don't want to miss anybody. I always do. The Big Lubbock. The Big Lubbock is here. Big Ten fan coming on in. Thanks for coming on in. Appreciate it. Who else? I'm missing people. Taytown Hawk is in the house. Mizzou falls apart after the border war loss to the Jayhawks. The economy would dictate expansion. Morris Simmons is here. Okay, let's get to it. First of all, we are going to go under the spotlight. Under the PATC spotlight of the Mizzou Tigers, which in early August, PATC will be putting out their official prediction of the college football playoffs. And I'm telling you right now, in the Southeastern Conference, Texas, Georgia, LSU, and Missouri are going to go to the college football playoffs. Book it. Absolutely book it. Bo Pribula. Now, I've been a little bit nervous about Pribula because he hasn't been a first-year full-time starter. Forget about that. Pribula is an absolute stud. He knows he's an absolute stud. He wasn't going to play another year behind Drew Aller. He wants to play. He can play. Ask any Penn State fan. A beast of an athlete. An absolute beast of an athlete. Ask any Penn State Nittany Lion fan. He played a little bit last year. 275 yards passing. 5 touchdowns, 1 interception, 74.3 completion percentage, 181.7 quarterback. Now, he just played a little bit. 242 yards rushing, 6.4 yard average. Again, when you get sacked, that goes against your yards rushing in college football. And Pribula sometimes went in there for short yardage, red zone situations. So Pribula can rip a run, man. He can rip a run, and he can take it the distance. SEC, Southeastern Conference. You look, you're going to have to keep an eye. You're going to have an eye spy on Bo, or he's going to kill you. He is absolutely going to kill you. Mizzou Tigers offense. Mizzou Tigers offense is going to be something. And by the way, Missouri's defense ranked 17th last year. 17th. Now, they're bringing back 7 starters, but they got Joshua Trotter, West Virginia. You Mountaineer fans, you know how good Trotter is. Missouri got Trotter in the transfer portal. They got Jalen Ketelon, the UNLV absolute stud safety, in the portal. Missouri hit grand slam after grand slam after grand slam in the portal. And we haven't even gotten to this guy yet. The running back out of Louisiana Monroe, Ahmed Hardy. He's listed as a first-team preseason all-SEC conference, and he was just playing in the Sun Belt, for God's sakes. Over 1,300 yards rushing, 5.7 yards per rush, 13 rushing touchdowns, 8 receptions. Ahmad Hardy with Bo Pribula. Holy smokes. Holy smokes. Tight end, Brett Norfleet, 26 receptions, 235 yards receiving, 9 yards average, 2 receiving touchdowns. He was a pretty good freshman. He was a little bit of a better sophomore. This year is going to be his 3rd year junior, Brett Norfleet. Expect him to take it up to another level for the Mizzou Tigers. And then you're talking about the transfer from Mississippi State, Kevin Coleman, 74 receptions last year, 932 yards receiving. Holy smokes. Mizzou, the Tigers are going to score. They're going to score some more. One of their returning starters, the leader of the defense, Tristan Newson, 39 solo tackles, 71 combo, 7 tackle for losses. The leader, the senior for the Mizzou Tigers, again, their defense was pretty good last year. Really. Honestly. And here is the Mizzou football schedule, which I think sets up beautifully for Missouri. They play that Kansas game at home. They start the home schedule. They start the SC schedule at home against South Carolina. Then they play UMass. And by the way, not so much this year, but keep an eye on the Minutemen. Keep an eye on Massachusetts in the MAC Conference. Joe Harris-Semiak, the head coach of Massachusetts, he's a good one. And the NIL of Massachusetts is better, bigger than anybody else in the MAC Conference. The Minutemen are going to be heard of in that conference in the next couple of years. Okay, back to Missouri. South Carolina, September 20th. Then they've got a home game against Alabama. Their road games are Auburn and Vanderbilt. Back home against A&M, Mississippi State, on the road to Oklahoma and Arkansas. That schedule, baby. That schedule, that South Carolina game could be everything. The winner of that game, but again, Missouri's got South Carolina at home. I think those two teams are knocking on the door for that 4th place spot in the Southeastern Conference. I got Mizzou taking it. I've got Mizzou taking it. I think Missouri goes 10-2. They get, or 9-3. They get that 4th spot in the Southeastern Conference, and they make it as an at-large to the 12-team playoffs. The Missouri Tigers, put down your comments in the comments section. Let me know how wrong I got it once again, but I'm in love with Mizzou. Heather Dinich, Missouri coach, likes the Big Ten's college football playoff plan. More system overhauls. Heather Dinich, ESPN, earlier today, Missouri coach Eli Drinkwitz on Thursday unabashedly advocated for a playoff format that runs contrary to the one supported by many of his SEC peers, aligning himself with the Big Ten's proposal of 4 automatic qualifiers for the Big Ten and the SEC in the 16-team field in 2026. Drinkwitz, speaking to ESPN on the last day of SEC Media Days, said he would 100% like to eliminate the selection committee from the process and isn't opposed to getting rid of the SEC championship game. He said increasing the field by 2 or 4 is inconsequential. And his ideal model would allocate 4 guaranteed spots to the Big Ten and the SEC, 3 each to the ACC and the Big 12, 1 for the highest ranked group of 5 conference champion, and another at-large bid. Okay. Eli Drinkwitz is advocating for the 4-4-3-3-1-1. there is more to the article, but we're not going to go through it. It's just more of the same. Basically, that's the highlight. He knows that he's in the minority in the Southeastern Conference. But it also sounds like he's not completely on an island. There are other people that agree with him. Here's the deal. I happen to think, and I could end up being wrong. I'm already wrong, by the way. I thought the Southeastern Conference and the Big Ten both getting 4 automatic qualifiers was a fait accompli. And I've taken the L on that. If you want me to take the L on it again, I will. Even if I don't eat a cheeseburger because they decide to go with the automatic qualifiers 4-4, I still was wrong. I thought this was a done deal months ago. I was wrong. SEC changed their mind. Okay. But, so I've already been wrong. So I'm going to go ahead and be wrong again. I don't think a 4-4-3-3-1-1 is going to be able to squeeze through the SEC conference. That's why I'm advocating for an 18-team playoffs. So there can be 3 at-large bids. So the selection committee is doing straight seeding, but there are going to be 3 at-large bids available to Notre Dame and UConn if they finish in the top 18. And let's say Notre Dame and UConn both have a bad year. They're not ranked in the top 18. Then there's going to be 3 at-large bids that the selection committee is going to have to determine who gets those bids. And what that does is it does not cap the Southeastern Conference at 4. It doesn't cap the Big 12 at 3. It doesn't cap the ACC at 3. It doesn't cap the Big 10 at 4. It doesn't cap the G6 at 1. I think you're going to have a little bit of extra juice out there. A little bit of extra at-large bids. I know Eli Drinkwitz wants to take it all out of the selection process. I get it. I understand that. And I think we're all going to understand that more and more as the years go on, especially if we get into this 5+11, which I don't think we're going to do unless the SEC goes to 9 games and the ACC. So Drinkwitz is for the AQ models. Drinkwitz wants a 1+8, a 1 versus 8 in the SEC play-in games. 2 versus 7, 3 versus 6, 4 versus 5. He wants to get rid of the conference championship games. I don't think you need to do that. I think you can have the championship game and you go 3 versus 6, 4 versus 5. Because the play-in games are not only about the play-in games. The real value of the play-in games, it is what it's doing to your regular season. What it is doing for your conference games. If the Big 12, for example, has 3 automatic bids, and a shot for a 4th one, and at large, that means a couple of things. One is you can have a Big 12 championship game. You can have a play-in game versus 3 versus 4. And when you have 3 at-large bids, when you have an 18-team playoffs, those 3 at-large bids also would incentivize good out-of-conference games because that is your first bite of the apple. If you win a big-time out-of-conference games and you struggle a little bit in conference play, you can still hope for an at-large bid if you lose your play-in game. Or maybe you don't even make a play-in game and you're still in the running for an at-large bid. But I get it. I get it. Going to 18 seems a little radical. Going automatic qualifiers seemed to be a little radical. But in my opinion, and what really hit me is what Petitti said. You create a playoff format that creates more value and interest in your regular season. And that ain't just about the Big Ten. You want more teams in the hunt later on in the season. You want more teams that can be a spoiler later on in the season. You want more conference games that affect the playoffs later on in the season. And I've kind of stated this. A big reason why, and I'm kind of repeating myself here, but I want to make it clear. One more reason why I like the 4-4-3-3-1-3 better than the 4-4-3-3-1-1 is because I think with 3 at-large bids, again, you can mount up on those non-conference games. That can be a bridge to one of those at-large berths if things don't go the way you want them to go in conference play. If you make it, if you are a 3rd seed in your conference and you lose that, if you're an ACC and you're 3-4 and you're the 3rd seed and you lose that play-in game, you don't get the 3rd AQ, then the committee's going to be looking at what did you do in that non-conference? Who did you play? And if you beat some big-time programs in other conferences, now you got a better shot to get the at-large bid. But if you play 3 pansies, you do not get a shot at the at-large bid. But if you lose those big-time non-conference games, guess what? You're not out of it because you've got the conference record that's going to determine if you get into a play-in game. 2 bites at the apple. That is what I think we should be working towards. And I don't believe that Tony Petitti can win the day. I don't think he can win the day on this unless he goes and fights for his vision, explains it at Big Ten Media Days next week, and he's got to give the ACC and the Big 12 a play-in game. You cannot talk about play-in games, and the value of play-in games if you don't give the Big 12 and the ACC the opportunity to play in a play-in game. You want the 7th, 8th, 9th place ACC team with 2-3 weeks left to go in the regular season. You want them to have a pathway to the playoffs. You want a 7th, 8th, 9th place Big 12 team with 3 weeks to go in the regular season, in the first week of November, to have a pathway to the playoffs. You want them to see that pathway. If they see the pathway, first of all, more of those games are going to be more valuable for the ACC and the Big 12. More valuable for the schools, their athletic directors, for the ticket sales, for viewership, for the storylines. I don't think you can fight for this vision until you give the Big 12 and the ACC a bleeping play-in game. So my question, my only question, this is my opinion. Most of you disagree with me, and that is fine. This is what this show is for. My only question is, Can Petiti think outside of the box? Can he leap? Can he take? Can Tony Petiti, excuse me, can Tony Petiti take 2 more leaps? Can he go? Because he already took a leap into the automatic qualifier world, which at first blush, second blush, third blush, I did not like. But the more I listened, the more I thought about it, the more we did this live program, holy smokes, it blows away the other model. If Tony Petiti can make another 2 leaps, if he can make the leap from 4.422 to a 4.433, I think he's going to be able to get closer to getting it done. But I think he's going to have to take another leap after that. He's going to have to go to 4.42213 to 4.43311, and I think he needs 1 more leap. I think we need 3 at-large bids. I don't think that any of these commissioners, not just Yormark, not just Phillips, but Sankey, I don't think these commissioners can sell it when there is an absolute cap on how many teams that can make it to the playoffs. So I think Petiti's got to make another leap. I think it's got to go 4.43313. I think that might be the thread that pulls the needle. I think that might be the Henry Clay sweet spot. Then Sankey can say, well, we're not capped at 4. We can get a 5th. We can get a 6th. We can even get a 7th. So that is my thoughts. I want to hear your thoughts. There is more to the article. Earlier Thursday morning, which was this morning, Drinkwitz opened his remarks at the podium by conceding he realized what he is about to say is not going to go do me any favors with our commissioner. I haven't picked the format, Sankey told ESPN. What I said is after our conversations, our membership is interested in moving to 16. I think that's a responsible way to communicate it. As I said yesterday, the Southeastern Conference truly wants to get to 16. The Big Ten truly wants to get to 16. Nobody is playing like nobody truly wants to stay at 12. For lots of different reasons. Drinkwitz said the models with automatic qualifiers were presented to the Southeastern Conference coaches in Destin, Florida, 2 ways, with or without the conference title game. Would you rather miss the playoffs because the selection committee didn't pick you, or miss the playoffs because you didn't win on the field? In other words, you did not win your play-in game, Drinkwitz said. Which one is easier for the fan base, the players, and the coaches to accept? Instead, we're going to get up here and complain about the selection committee that we know is a flawed process. I just don't understand. There's lies, there's damn lies, and there's statistics. And we're going to rely on statistics. Eli Drinkwitz, Missouri head coach. Bravo. Bravo, head coach. Great job, Drinkwitz. Beautiful. Heartbreak 25 In a playoff discussion, the Big Ten is united. Southeastern Conference is divided. The Big 12 is desperate. The ACC is hopeless. Look, if the Big 12 can go to 2 automatic bids, to 3 automatic bids, in a 16-team playoffs, kudos to your mark. Kudos to the Big 12 schools. Because that is more that they would get average in a 5+11. And if you can get to a 4-4-3-3, 1-3 with 18 teams, where the Big 12 is getting, the floor is 3, but that ain't the ceiling. Again, I think that's the best scenario for the Big 12. Thank you for the super chat, Heartbreak 25. I appreciate it. Big Gun Shop, thank you for the super chat. I appreciate it so very much. Heartbreak 25, Big Gun Shop. Thank you guys for starting us off here, helping us keep the lights on. I do appreciate it so very much. One more thing before we get to your phone calls. I do not agree with this move. President Trump working on an executive order intending to preserve college sports from the threat. I'm not going to read any, I'm just going to read the first paragraph. A draft of the long-discussed presidential executive order intends to preserve college athletics from an unprecedented threat and destruction by implementing new policies related to athlete compensation, antitrust protection, athlete employment, state law, uniformity, and Olympic sport competition. The draft, though not believed to be the final version, is expected to align closely with the order that President Donald Trump has long been exploring and offers a window into his thinking. It is not clear when or even if Trump will announce an executive order, which for months have been discussed in the public sphere. Even though I agree in spirit, I would love there to be congressional codification of the settlement, the House versus NCAA settlement. Because we need a body that can enforce its rules. And that would be the Autonomy 4 conferences, who created the Sports Commission, that signed on the Deloitte Clearinghouse. Even though the executive order in spirit I agree with, I don't think it's the correct way politically or legally to get a codification in the Congress. Executive orders not attached to any existing laws get shot down real easily. And the modern day presidency, all the past presidents and their executive orders, they do not bring people to the table. They do not help spur bipartisanship. Hopefully, this leak that Trump has a draft ready to go, hopefully that does absolutely nothing to the political landscape of the House bill and the Senate looking at stuff, or maybe helps a little bit. But I hope President Trump does not sign the executive order, because politically it's only going to make it harder for bipartisanship. And you're going to need at least 7 Democratic senators to agree with whatever compromise bill that the House and the Senate agree on. Boy, it's going to be even more difficult, because it's happened every time in the past. Obama, Bush, you name it. You sign that executive order, it becomes a political grenade on whatever subject it is. So I hope he doesn't sign it, because it ain't going to stand through the courts, in my opinion. Okay, we're going to get to your phone calls. We are going to get to your phone calls. The phone lines are open. 763 260 1333. 763 260 1333. Let me know how wrong I got it when it comes to the Missouri Tigers, the spotlight. I'm going to have them in the playoffs. I am going to have the Tigers in the playoffs. I'm going to have the LSU Tigers. I'm going to have the Clemson Tigers. I'm going to have the Missouri Tigers. Tigers. They're all going to the playoffs. They're all going to the playoffs. Book it. Absolutely book it. So give us a call. The phone lines are open on a Thursday, July 17th. Thanks for coming on in. I do appreciate it. If you're new to the channel, if you haven't done it yet, please subscribe. I think we're one subscriber away from 5,070. All we need is one subscriber. That would be beautiful. If we can get one subscriber, new subscriber today, that would be fantastic. MBM would concede to a 4-4-3-3. Okay, but MBM, would you be worried that there would be no at-large bids? Could this get through the Southeastern Conference? Would the Southeastern Conference actually vote for this? I don't know. I don't know.
Call from
Rick?
Rick, the floor is yours. Thanks for calling, sir. Go ahead.
Oh, my pleasure. Good job on Drinkwitz. In essence, going against the conference by entertaining 9 games and going for the AQs. I also thought you were right with regard to the potential for an executive order. I don't agree with the reasons why you don't like it, but that doesn't matter. You don't like it, and I don't like it either, because it infringes on the players' lawful rights. Let's see, what else? Oh, the play. I still think I'm with you with the 18-team playoff.
You're the only one. You're it.
Well, yeah,
Rick.
but mine's 5-5-3-3.
Yeah. We don't even. We don't even agree on the agreement.
Correct.
Yeah.
But we compromise.
Yeah.
But we compromise.
Nobody in the chat wants 18. They think that's too far away from purity. Nobody wants to think outside the box. Nobody wants to think outside the box. Don Scruggs is here with Wendy Scruggs. They cannot think outside the box. The architect, he's an architect, but he can't think outside of his architectural box. Penn State Bob Swanger, he can't do it. Ryan Brooks can do it. Ryan Brooks can do it, but that's about it, sir. Go ahead.
How can you not be happy to have 3 teams in the playoff if you're the ACC or Big 12? How can you not be happy to have 5 teams in the playoff if you're the SEC and the Big 10? Everybody's happy. Notre Dame's happy. All they have to do is finish in the top 18. And the G6 just has to have 1 team. They're only going to get 1 team in the top 18, and you're in. I mean, it's relax, and then you've got all of the things that you want. ESPN and Fox, they got all the play-in games. I mean, when you've got the SEC and the Big Ten with 5, the number 1 team gets to sit out while the other 4 duke it out, and the number 1 team in the ACC and the Big 12 gets to sit it out, while 1 and 2, while 2 and 3 get to duke it out. The
the two biggest reasons I like the 4-4-3-3 in a 16 or an 18. I have two biggest reasons. One, three, but one is obvious. More teams are in it later in the season. We all know about that. But the second one is every single fan really truly knows the pathway for their team to get in the playoffs. Or if they're not in the race halfway through the season, they know where they can play the spoiler. I mean, it's there. They know it. They see the conference standings. They're looking at the game being played. They know the rest of the conference schedule. The fans and the teams know the pathway. But there's also a big reason that I think Tony Petitti has got to drive home next week. The biggest reason is no matter what you do, Rick, no matter what you do, Big 12, ACC, Big 10, Southeastern Conference, no matter what you do, you're going to have unbalanced schedules. It's just going to happen. You're going to look at a schedule and you're going to think, well, that team has got a rough schedule. But then a series of injuries, whatever, and a team, one team's schedule doesn't match up with another team's schedule in your own conference. So what does the automatic qualifier do? You've got play-in games. So if you win that play-in game, I don't care what unbalanced schedule you've got. If you win that play-in game, nobody can bitch about you getting in the playoffs. You won the game that mattered. Okay, you might have had easier schedule versus the other conference mate, but you won a play-in game. They're in, baby. They're absolutely in. Tony Petitti's got to drill that home. He's got to drill that home. And if you're a big-time school, if you are the Buckeyes, and if you're number 3 in the conference, guess what, Buckeyes? You still got to beat that number 6 team. You still got to beat that number 6 team in the Big 10. You still got to win that play-in game. You cannot just coast at the end of the season. You got to win at the end of the season to make sure you're in the playoffs. Go ahead, Rick. Sorry to butt in.
No, that's okay. It's your show. You're not butting in. The other thing is now the ACC plays 8, right? They don't play 9.
Yeah.
So if they're going to require the SEC to play 9, I think you got to require the ACC to play 9 also.
Yes.
And I don't care about Notre Dame. I don't want to hear anything about them.
Yep.
So if we don't want the SEC to play 9. We want the SEC and the ACC to play 9. Yeah, and then everything's copacetic. And your point about November, with what this would bring to the month of November, is just must-see TV.
Yeah.
I mean, every game is a play-in game.
Yeah.
Even if you're a 0-7 in conference, you can knock somebody else out.
Yep.
By beating them.
Yep. And by the way,
you can be the spoiler maker.
Yep. Exactly. I appreciate you calling, Rick.
Yeah, thank you.
You got it, buddy. Thank you. Great call. And by the way, the Southeastern Conference doesn't have to go to 9 conference games in an automatic qualifier model. And in a 5+7, the SEC don't have to go to 9 conference games. So the Southeastern Conference doesn't have to go to 9 conference games. They can stay at 8. If they stay at 8, then that's fine. But then we stay at a 12-team playoffs, which is fine. Or we go to an automatic qualifier so the Southeastern Conference doesn't have to go to 9, but they are going to go to 9 at some point especially when they expand.
Call from
Kenneth Stromness.
Kenneth Stromness, BYU Cougar is on the line. The floor is yours. But, Kenneth, can you hold on for one moment, please?
Of course.
Everybody in the chat room, you got to relax here. No personal shots at each other. You can disagree with each other. You can throw haymakers at the host of this show. But I'm seeing a lot of personal elbows being thrown. Where I'm just giving you a warning here. I'm giving you a warning before I give some people a timeout. Go ahead, Kenneth Stromness. Thanks for the phone call. Let it rip.
All right. So I think you have to have 3 at large and not 1, because if you do the 4-4-3-3-1-1, let's say the Big Ten and SEC have scenarios where the 3 and 6 and the 4 and 5 play each other.
Yep.
And the 6th place teams, for whatever reason, both beat the 3 seeds.
Yep.
They're going to be, the 6 seeds are in, and the 3 seeds are battling for that last at-large bid. And I don't see that being taken very well if the number 3 seed in the Big Ten or SEC isn't in the playoffs, because Notre Dame or something, it takes that last spot. So I think you have to have the 3 at-large bids.
I think you do too, but I think you can use the Big 12 example. I think if there's a BYU who's a 3rd seed playing a 4th seed, and let's say there is 3 Big 12 teams that finished 11-1, because the schedule, again, the Big 12, they have unbalanced schedules, right? There can be a 3-way 11-1, 11-1, 8-1, 8-1, 8-1 conference record. BYU is a 3rd. Because of the tiebreakers, they're 3rd. And because they beat up on the Gophers in some big-time program, let's say they beat Tennessee in non-conference play, they're 11-1, and they lose to a 4th-place team by a last-second field goal. I think you got to give the opportunity for a BYU, for a Big 12 team to grab that at-large spot if they've been sitting there 8th and 9th, 10th ranked team in the country before that last-second loss. I think those at-large bids have still got to be there. But for that to happen, Kenneth, these commissioners are going to have to think way outside. They're going to have to get away from 16 and go to 18, and they're going to get crushed by all these college football reporters. We know that. But go ahead, sir.
My only other thought is, for the years when things go status quo and the 3 seeds and the 4 seeds kind of win it all, I think the Big 12 and the ACC should both have, so they're going to have the 3-4 to get in, but they should also play a 5-6 game, because that just is going to pad to become an at-large bid, because if the 3 and the 4s all win, that means the 5s and the 6s of the SEC and Big Ten have lost, and your final game. Yeah. And if a 5 seed can win, then that puts a 5 seed in the Big 12 and ACC with maybe a leg up on the other 2, because everyone 6 and below has lost an important game.
Yeah. No, No, I get it. I mean, the Buckeyes, we only have 1 year of the 12-team playoffs, for an example, but the Buckeyes finished 4th in the conference last year. They would have had to play number 5. Who was number 5 in the Big Ten last year? I think Iowa was 6. I can't remember who number 5 was. Does anybody in the chat know who finished 5th in the Big Ten last year? I don't have a clue. My mind is completely gone. My mind is completely gone. Who finished 5th in the Big Ten, chat room? Illinois. Thank you, Tony. Thank you, Ryan Brooks. God, Minnesota beat Illinois last year. God, Minnesota blew it last year. God, they should have won 9 games. Tony, Your Gophers should have won 9 games. I tell you, God, it kills me. Anyways, what was I saying before I lost my mind? Oh, Illinois. So there should have been an Illinois-Ohio State playing game, right?
Mm-hmm.
And if the Buckeyes would have lost that game, there still should be an opportunity for them to get one of those at-large spots. And, of course, the Buckeyes won it. So, I mean, I think there is enough depth, Kenneth, right? There's enough depth in this world of college football where a 15th ranked, and now college football reporters, if any of them are listening to this, they're throwing something at their TV right now. But if you're 14th ranked in the country, 15th ranked in the country, I think you can still win the national championship. I know all the SEC people in the chat room are rolling their eyes, but Kenneth, the talent is being spread out more. Look at BYU. Look at Texas Tech. Shoot, look at my Gophers. I mean, if you mount up your money, you can, now that everybody's paying guys, you can get a player that you normally wouldn't get. So I think the chances of the 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th, 13th best team in the nation, I think they can win it all. And I think those 13th, 14th, 11th, 12th best team in the nation could be finishing 3rd, 4th, 5th place in your conference. That's why I love the AQ model. This is why I love the play-in model. This is where you earn it. Not a 5+11 where half the country eliminates itself after week number 2 or 3. Come on, Petiti. Petiti, you're a man of reason. You've got to fight for this thing next week. You cannot be silent Tony. You cannot just get up in front of a mic and do a speech. You got to do a speech, and then you got to hit every talk. You got to hit every show, including this one, Tony. I've never had a guest on this show. I've never had a guest on Peek Around the Corner because the brand of this show was nobody for nobodies. I'm a nobody. All of you are nobodies. Where we weren't going to have anybody that was a somebody on this show. But one time, Tony Petiti, I'll have you on this show and you tell us why we need to have this model or some version of this model. Because I'll tell you why. I'm not afraid to say it. Because it kicks the bleep out of 5+11. Ken Stromness, finish your call.
All right, my final thought, and this is, the more I think about the 4-4-3-3, I'm starting to like it, but I'm taking one step further out of the box. And what if we did a 5-4-3-3 where the SEC gets 5? Well, I know that's a little crazy, but just another thought to think on. But that's all I got.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks. Appreciate it.
Yep.
Beautiful. Jason, look, I don't know. I mean, the Big Ten is not literally on the brink. Okay? The Big Ten is not literally on, it has issues. The Big Ten Conference has issues. It does. It does. But it is not on the brink. I don't know where you get in all this, Jason. You come in every single day, you're talking about how horrific the Big Ten Conference is. It has issues. I will tell you that. Okay. Phone lines are open. 763-260-1333. Helmer Hedison. Is Greg saying that Florida State chances of getting in the Big Ten are looking better? How do I answer that question? How do I answer that question? Boy, it's getting hot in here. I'll tell you that. This studio is steaming. How do I answer that question or that statement?
Call from
Christopher Hooter.
Christopher Hooter, the floor is yours. Let it rip, sir. Thanks for calling.
Well, Greg,
this is your first time calling, correct? Or your second?
This is my first time calling, and the first time I got through anyway.
Beautiful. I appreciate it, Mr. Hooter. Go ahead, sir. The floor is yours.
Okay, I appreciate what you're trying to do with the play-in games and getting to the college football 18 and placate all the conferences and make more money. I get all that. All that. But I'm gonna push back a little bit.
Got it.
If we go back to the 70s and the 80s, we played 11 games and a bowl game.
Yes, sir.
12. Done. If we go back to, the 90s, I guess, and the BCS era, we're playing 12 games, a conference championship game, so that's 13, and then a bowl game, which could have potentially been the BCS, but anyway, that's 14 games. Then we went to college football playoff 4. Okay, and now what's that? That's 15 games. Am I right there? That was 15 games, yes. All right, now with the 12, you're potentially at 17 games if you lost your conference championship.
Yes, sir.
Okay, all right, well, let's just say we do 16. Okay, you're going to have a lot of 17 games. Now, if we go to 18 with a play-in game, I've lost count now. Are we at 18 games, 19 games? I mean, at some point, it's too much on these kids. We're just driving them into the ground. What say you?
Yeah. You bring up a good point. Number one, after we go to 18 teams, I promise we don't expand again. Okay, but okay. Well, that was not a serious answer. You bring up a great point. Now these young men are going to get paid through all these playoff games, right? You're going to have to cut a slice off, but they are getting a pounding. When I brought up my 18-team playoff, I had number 1 and number 2 team doing a double bye. Because of scheduling purposes, but maybe you can have an 18 versus 15, 17 versus 16, then get to a 16. So that's 4, 5 possible playing games, 6. Yeah, that's still 18 games. That's still 18 games. Yeah, that is an issue. You're right. That's 18 games is maximum for my model. That's a lot of games, no question about it. And I don't have a good answer for you. Other than I promise never to do it again. I'm never going to expand it.
Well, I mean, just kind of kicking this around with my buddies and all. And some people would just say, well, you might as well just go to 20, right?
Yeah.
Which is a little better of an even number, I guess. But
yeah.
I mean, but even at 16, just say 16. We've gone from that, you got to have the perfect season model to we've gone completely to the wild card mulligan model of the NFL. Right?
Because that NFL model increases the value of everything. That's why it works. It does. It works.
Well, it works.
So
it works, but and how do we keep the regular season what it was? Now I know for most programs out there, I'm an LSU guy, right? So every now and then we're in the, we can make a push, right? So if I had it my way, we'd go back to the BCS and forget all this other stuff.
Yeah, but if you did that, then LSU losing their first game of the season, you're behind the eight ball.
Well, I hear you. I hear you, right? But anyway, so I understand you're kind of juggling things and trying to make it work. I think we need to kind of think about, at some point, we've played too many games.
I think you bring up a point that I really don't have a good comeback. You bring up something that is absolutely viable. It's very important, and I don't have a good answer. I don't have a solution. I mean, you are correct. In other words, you've got me in a box.
It could even be that the big two, the power two, whatever we're calling them, go, well, if we got to play this many games, we need more scholarships. And we can afford it, and the ACC and the Big 12 cannot.
Yeah.
So, take that.
Yeah. Right? You've got me in a box. You've got a hammer. You got a bunch of nails, Christopher, and you've pounded the nails in, and I can't get out. The only thing I can say is, make sure that you are paying these young men a bunch of money, because they're making a bunch of money with all these extra playing games and playoff games. That is my only answer, and that is not a good enough answer, because you're not just talking money, you're talking about health, mental health, you got school and all that stuff. So I don't have a good answer.
That's right.
Yep.
So anyway, I love the program. I'm glad I got through. You're doing a great job. Thanks for taking my call.
Appreciate it, Christopher. Call again, sir.
Yes, sir. Okay, yeah, bye.
Call from
Jeff Fuller.
Jeff, are you there? I just lost you, Jeff. I lost you, and hold on a second. I gotta answer Helmer Hennison's. Helmer Hennison was kind enough to send a super chat. Jeff, if you're listening, your call. Okay.
Call from
Jeff, are you there?
I am here, Greg.
Okay, number one, I did not hang up on you.
No, that's fine.
Your phone just went off. Number two, can you just give me a moment? I got to do a couple of things here. I got to clean this thing up.
Take your time, Greg.
Appreciate it. Hold on. I do have to answer after I clean a little bit of this mess I got going on. I do have to answer Mr. Henderson's question. How I'm going to answer it, I haven't figured it out yet. But he was kind enough to give me a super chat, so I really have to I have to fake an answer at least.
Okay.
The question was, is Greg saying FSU chances of getting into the Big Ten are looking better? I guess the answer is yes. I don't know how much better, and I don't know if it even makes a difference. I spent this first part of the show. I mean, to me, and I'm not the only one saying this. There's a little bit of a chatter going on. Basically, if the Southeastern Conference makes a decision to stay at 8 conference games, and it sounds like they're going to make that decision real soon, and that is where they're leaning, then if that's the case, then they're probably bolted into not expanding the 9 conference games until they expand their own conference. And if that's the case, see, in my theory, and it's just a theory, speculation, I'm not reporting this, if you keep going down that rabbit hole, it looks like a Southeastern Conference that would not be interested in, or they don't feel they have the need and their interests are elsewhere, when they expand the conference, it would not be the top 2 college football programs in the ACC of Florida State and Clemson. To me, that's what it looks like. So then that would mean, again, we're going another level of what that would mean. That would mean the Big Ten might have that opportunity. They might have that option, and they might take that opportunity. 1,000 different variables at play. So I'm going to say yes, Helmer. I don't know if I'm increasing the chances of like 1% I've increased it, 2% I've increased it, 3.456% I do not know. But I'm going to go ahead and say yes, Helmer. Thank you for the super chat. Appreciate your generosity. I'm sorry I tried to avoid your question because I didn't know how to answer it. That's how I chose to answer it. Jeff Fuller, thank you for your patience. Thank you for the phone call, Mr. BYU Cougar. The floor is yours. Let it rip, sir.
I appreciate it, Greg. Yeah, interesting. Just to sort of riff off that a little bit. I'm not convinced. I mean, I'm not in these rooms. I don't know, but I'm not convinced the SEC is hungry to expand. They've been in a strong position. Added 2 blue bloods with Texas and Oklahoma, and that was not, by all reports that I've seen and read, that was Texas driving that ship, saying we're getting out of the Big 12 and SEC, here we are, take us, or we're going to the Big 10. That's sort of the reporting I've heard on it, and most people seem to agree with that. So I don't think the SEC was itching to expand at that point. But I mean, if the most, valuable brand, Texas and Ohio State sort of vie for those most valuable fan bases and brands economically, if they present themselves, it's hard to say no. But again, I understand, North Carolina, Virginia, there are attractive things there as far as expanding the market in contiguous states, which has always been an SEC thing. But I've always seen that more as a, take them off the chessboard, lock them up, when, if the Big Ten keeps pushing to expand, which, the Big Ten seems to be at least over the last few years, the bigger aggressor there with expansion. If the Big Ten, continues with their plans, this is sort of the defensive play to keep things. That's sort of my view there. I don't know if you need to comment there. That's not why I called, but that's, if you do want to comment on that, I'm happy to listen to your response. But I do have a couple other things.
I would say that I do think the SEC wants to expand, so we differ on that. But I think it's how do I say this? I have a very, very strong opinion, like extremely strong opinion, because based on everything that has been told to us and chatter behind the curtain, that these moves, what has been done with, how do I say this? With personnel, institutional things that are happening at Chapel Hill, what is about to happen in Virginia, the Southeastern Conference leaking like a sieve to all the college football reporters, all of them. Saying that North Carolina is the team, that is the school, the university we want. I think there's been too much work for the answer to be Southeastern Conference is not really looking to expand. I think they're looking to expand, but the timing's got to be right. And today ain't the right time for many, many different reasons, as you can imagine, Jeff. And North Carolina's going to be looking under, all their options. And so there's a lot of variables. There's political stuff in the state of North Carolina. But yeah, I think SEC wants to expand, but they're not desperate, right? They don't, you know what I'm saying. But I think the presidents want to do it. Yes, go ahead.
I think you're well aware. Yeah, all these things are game played out and all these different scenarios, and they've got contingency plans. If this happens and that, you've spoken to that over
Yep.
over the months and years, and yeah, any good leader has a plan for any situation, and lots of ducks have been lined up in a row by many conferences and by every school that
Yep.
that might have, might be in a different conference situation. Back to 8 versus 9, the wonderful debate that everyone's so happy about.
Yes.
I made a little comment in the chat. It wasn't a super chat, but I mentioned, I'm not a Southerner, but I've lived in the South between Georgia, Alabama, and Louisiana for 23 of the last 27 years. So pretty much got a feel on the South. I'm married to a Southern girl who's a generational, 7 generations here in the South. Very, very Southern family, a wonderful Southern belle, blessed man. But one thing about Southerners, nobody likes to be told what to do. But boy, Southerners, if you tell them what to do and tell them they got to do this, it's almost like they'll, even if it's not in their best interest, they'll do the opposite just to show you.
No.
So I think this ultimatum, that Petiti and the Big Ten are putting up there.
I don't think
really,
it's I don't think it's an I don't see it that way.
Well, it seems that way. It
well-
seems like, we'll only do 16
Well-
teams if the SEC goes to 9 games.
It-
and that's what's important to realize is that, guess how many teams in the nation play 9 conference games? What percent of FBS teams play 9 conference games right now?
Look, the Southeastern Conference doesn't have to play 9 conference games.
Mm-hmm.
They don't have to play 9 conference games. So nobody's like, but if you want to go to 5 plus 11, which the SEC wants, then the Big Ten, I mean, they have every right to say this is what we would want. It would be
and
like
apparently
me
the
saying
Big Ten's the only one who doesn't like 5 plus 11 right now.
but it doesn't matter if they're the only ones. I mean, would it be okay for me to say the Southeastern Conference is demanding to go to 16 teams playoffs? No, they're not really.
No,
they would
obviously
like
not.
to.
Yeah.
They would like
Yeah.
to, and they would like to go to 5 plus 11. The Big Ten would like to do the AQ model. The Big Ten is willing to go 5 plus 11 if the Southeastern Conference goes to 9 games. I don't think
that's where, I mean, the tone on the McMurphy tweet yesterday was this is DOA unless the SEC goes to 9 conference games.
For one version.
Only 25% of FBS teams play 9 conference games. Only 2 of 10, so only 20% of FBS conferences play 9 conference games. They all play 8. So 9 is the exception. And now, because the line has been moved there, yes, the Pac-12 used to do it. It used to be 3 conferences, but it's only 2 of 10 right now that do that.
Yeah.
So, and again, I've feared and don't like the idea of the 9 by the SEC, the scheduling agreement with the Big Ten. That's 10 power games by each of those conference teams, and that pretty much creates a de facto super league, and sort of squeezes out the ACC, the Big 12, and any G5 teams. So that's sort of what I've spoken to that various times, but it's something that I get stuck on that, and I think
and I don't blame you.
The McMurphy tweet. Yeah, the McMurphy tweet, made it seem brinkmanship like that.
Wow.
Hey, you guys, if you want the 16 with 5 plus 11, this is what you have to do.
That I would agree
without saying that the ACC has to do it, without saying that any other conference has to do it.
No,
it's only the SEC that has to do it.
Yeah, Petiti in his Joe Klatt interview said every conference, every conference should be playing the same amount of conference games if we're going to a 5 plus 11.
8.
Huh?
Exactly. 8. Everyone should be playing 8 games. It makes the most sense. It allows for continuing all the rivalries, the regional rivalries. It creates more cross-conference matchups. It creates more cross-conference inventory and data to actually see which teams are doing better. And, you know, one of your callers earlier, and I think there was like a 5-5-3-3, something like that. But then mentioned at the end that, all Notre Dame has to do is finish in the top 18 to get into this 18-team playoff. It's like, I don't think people are thinking what happens when you automatically grant 5 teams from 2 conferences and 3 teams from other conferences. That's not going to be the top 18 team. There's going to be a 23rd ranked, Illinois who sneaks in as the number 6 seed in their conference playing game, and they're playing Penn State, who, say their quarterback gets a concussion the game before, and they're able to sneak into the playoff by that game. I think the playing games really devalue the body of work of the rest of the season, and also, people talk about the out of conference games. Why would we play them in a 5+11? Why risk the losses? The same thing could be said about, in all these automatic qualifying spots. Why even play cross-conference games at all? You're risking injury to, playing stronger, bigger, tougher teams. You're risking bowl eligibility. There's no motivation to play tough out of conference games if all that matters is your conference record and getting one of those, do or die conference playing games. I think it's a really bad idea to put so much value on one game, and I feel like the playing game
time out, Jeff.
tail
Jeff,
is wagging
your
CFP dog.
argument is the exact argument why 5+11 absolutely blows, because you do not have 2 bites at the apple. In an automatic qualifier model, if you win a big old out-of-conference game, or 2 of them, you can still get a large bid in the AQ model. That's why when I talk about an AQ model, I really think the only way that's going to work if you still have 3 at-large bids out there, because that increases the value of the out-of-conference schedule and your in-conference schedule. And there is no way that an 18-team conference is going to have only 8 conference games. That ain't going to happen. It ain't going to happen in the Big 12. It ain't going to happen in the Big 10. It just isn't. Teams want to play each other.
There's a 17-team ACC right now that plays 8.
Yeah.
There's a 16-team
Sure.
16-team SEC that plays 8. I don't see where this magical. We have 18 teams now. We have to play 9.
The Big 10. Okay, but the Big 10 has had serious conversations, but they didn't do it because they thought the SEC was going to go to 9 conference games. So the Big 10 thought they were going to go to 10. These teams want to play each other more often. That's why they don't have divisions, because they wanted to play each other more often.
And I understand it. And every conference can do what they want and what they feel is best. I think it's not best for college football in general.
Well, these are conferences. The reason why they're in a conference because they want to play each other. They want to schedule each other. And I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying about if the SEC goes to 9 conference games, now they're going to be playing a crossover game with the Big 10. I don't think that's alive at all anyways. I think the SEC is going to continue to play games, P4 games with the ACC, Big 12, some with they're struggling even to get to 9 conference games. I don't think they're going to make the leap to go to 8 to 9 conference games and play a crossover game with the Big 10. But I understand what you're saying, but there are G5 schools out there that don't like the idea that the Big 12 plays 9 conference games because they would like to play you guys more often, right?
Yeah.
I'd
love for the Big 12 to play 8 conference games, believe me, and play more regional games. And, with these conferences now that are so spread out, there's problems with them. And, there's reasons for it. Media companies value, more markets, more time zones, more interesting matchups. I understand where, this is driven by money. I think we all know that. And not that that's unimportant, but it is a piece. And I don't want, the extra dollar, to be the end all be all of the sport. And that's just, I think I've tried to make that point several times, but I do appreciate always the opportunity to speak, and appreciate the show, and love debating back and forth with you. I think it's healthy.
Thank you, Mr. Fuller. Appreciate it, sir.
Yes, sir.
Great call.
Yes, sir. Have a good one, Greg.
You too.
Take care.
Like PJ Fleck in his coaching contract, he's got bonuses set up for a 9-conference game schedule, and he's got bonuses set up for a 10-game conference schedule. That is in his contract. It's been reported by the St. Pioneer Press in the Big Ten. And then it was reported that other Big Ten coaches have. So the Big Ten don't want to play less. If the Southeastern Conference wants to stay at 8 conference games, go for it. Go for it. That's your decision. And if you do that, then there's going to be ramifications, what goes on with the playoffs, and that's fine. We'll stick with a 12-team playoff. No problem. 5 plus 7. But, at some point, in my opinion, the Southeastern Conference is going to expand. Some people in the chat room, I've seen it. I think BYU football says the Southeastern Conference ain't going to expand. Jeff don't think they're very interested. I think they're so interested they've been doing cloak and dagger moves that here at Peek Around the Corner we've been pointing out. So when they expand, I think they're going to go to 9 conference games. We shall see.
Call from
you.
Evil Badger, I do have a super chat from you. Hold on, sir.
Okay.
Are you there okay, you're there. Ryan Willie, could this change UNC's destination? No, Ryan, I think I was just speculating on the fact that it looks like the Southeastern Conference may not want to do the big scoop. The way they're acting, the way they're talking, maybe it's just North Carolina +1. So no, I don't think it changes North Carolina destination. It could change if my speculation, and it's just speculation, is anywhere close to being accurate. It could change Florida State, Clemson, potential destination. Go ahead, Ryan Willie. The floor is yours. Thanks for your super chat. Thanks for calling, sir. I appreciate it, my friend. Go ahead.
Thanks for taking my call.
You got it, buddy.
Greg, I'm gonna go on a little rant.
Go on a rant.
Because of your last call. If the Big 12 fans believe that they're going to get more teams in because of this 5 plus 11, they're fooling themselves. If the person had seen the list of the so-called schedules in the country from ESPN, in the top 10, every team was an SEC team. Excuse me, but Wisconsin is probably one of the toughest schedules in the country.
Yeah.
The
5 plus 11, the 5 plus 11 model.
The 5 plus 11 model does not guarantee the Big 12 another team in the playoff.
Yeah.
All it means is the SEC is going to get as many teams as they can in the playoff to basically to basically guarantee themselves a national title. Can I use the example of the basketball tournament this year, where they got 14 and 16 teams in the tournament?
Yeah.
Big 12 fans are fooling themselves. I'm sorry. If they believe that if they can butter up the SEC, that they'll get more teams in, I think he has said in the past that he would love to get every SEC team in the playoff. And Monty even said that the only conference that benefits from the 5+11 is the SEC, because they're in cahoots with ESPN. I don't get it.
Yeah, I happen to agree with you. A Gopher and a Badger agree. I don't see the 5+11 with the Southeastern Conference staying at 8 conference games is any benefit to the Big 12. Bill Connelly's model completely shows that. And he doesn't quite understand why Brett Yormark is doing what he's doing. But hopefully Petiti, they're going to continue to talk. Hopefully Petiti and Sankey understands the value of giving another AQ to the Big 12 and ACC to get them on board, because two automatic qualifiers doesn't give them a play-in game. A third one does. So I don't know. We shall see. I agree with you, Evo Badger. I do agree with you.
All right. Well, thanks for taking my call.
You got it, buddy.
All right.
Appreciate it.
Bye.
Bye. If you haven't done so, thank you, Evo Badger, for your phone call and for your super chat. If you haven't done so yet, please subscribe to our channel. We're looking for one new subscriber tonight. One to get us to, some even number. I already forgot the number. One new subscriber. Do you have it in you? One new subscriber. But I want to thank you all for joining us. Smash that like button if you like our content. Share the video with your family and friends. Keep your head on a swivel. We are going to have a new spotlight team for tomorrow. Today's spotlight team was the Missouri Tigers. Bo Pribula, the quarterback. He's going to be electrifying. Ahmed Hardy, incredible season last year as a freshman. Goes in the portal. Now he's playing for Mizzou. Northfleet, the up and coming emerging tight end for the Mizzou Tigers. You got Kevin Coleman, transferred from Mississippi State. He only had 74 receptions last year. And then Tristan Newson, linebacker, leader for the Missouri Tigers. And of course, we went through their schedule. It lines up beautifully. It lines up absolutely beautiful for the Missouri Tigers to make it into the college football playoffs. And I'm going to make that prediction. I'm going to have it in my August official prediction. Mizzou Tigers are going to make it. Eli Drinkwitz is going to make it to the college football playoffs. Let me know how crazy I am in the comment section. I want to thank Heartbreak 25, the Big Gun Shop, Helmer Henderson, and the Evil One himself, the Evil Badger, for giving us a donation to help us keep the lights on. I appreciate it. I appreciate it so very much. More shots taken at my Golden Gophers. More shots taken at my Golden Gophers. Holy smokes. Holy smokes. My God, a freshman. Absolutely. Ahmad Hardy. Freshman. Last year. Greg, if you're so sure, how about you eat 2 cheeseburgers every time they do? Every time they do what? Every time they do what? Every time they do what? All I know, BYU football, is I got 2 cheeseburger plays out there. One, if the SEC and the Big Ten don't get 4 AQs, I'm going to eat a cheeseburger live. Or if the evil Badgers somehow, by a miracle, and it's going to take a miracle, if somehow the Badgers beat the Golden Gophers, the beloved Golden Gophers in Minneapolis, if the Badgers win the Axe back, then I'm going to eat a cheeseburger. But guess what? Guess what? By hook or by crook, I'm going to make it happen. Somehow Tony Petitti is going to get up on that stage next week. And he is going to be absolutely brilliant. He's going to be, Tony Petitti is going to be the Winston Churchill of our times and lead us back into temptation. He's going to lead us back to 4-4 and possibly 3-3 automatic qualifiers. And I'm not going to eat a cheeseburger. I am not going to eat a cheeseburger because I'm not. Hopefully. Iowa, I know that's going to be a house of horrors for my Gophers. They're going to go to Iowa City. It's going to be packed once again. The Gophers are going to outgain the Hawkeyes by 150 yards in that game, and we're going to lose. The Gophers are going to lose because of a tip ball at the line of scrimmage. The ball's going to hit off a face mask into the arms of a safety of the Hawkeyes, and he's going to return it for a touchdown with 2 minutes and 56 seconds left on the clock. The Iowa Hawkeyes beat my beloved Golden Gophers 17-16. I already know what's going to happen in the game. I don't need to watch the game. I'm not going to do a watch party on that game. Why would I do a watch party? Why would I watch the Hawkeyes, the evil Hawkeyes, take that Florida Rosedale, go around Iowa City with it, Kinnick Stadium, and celebrate? And I got to be here, the fat guy from Minnesota, in the studio, in the middle of Loserville City. Once again, I'm elected the mayor. I can't do it. I can't do it. We are going to hopefully, check your calendars, check your football schedule. Tell me whatever time, whatever date Iowa and Minnesota play, give me a game that I can do a watch party. Give me a game that I can absolutely push aside the Hawkeye Gopher game. I don't have to listen to it. I don't have to read it. I don't have to get my heart broken. I don't have to cry in front of the camera one more time. Give me a game, a watch party game, because I know exactly what's going to happen. Hawkeye and the Golden Gophers. All right. I think that's it. I think that's it for the night. We've been on the air for 2 hours. I do appreciate it. October 25th. Give me an October 25th game. Give me an October 25th game that I don't have to watch the Gophers get beat once again in Iowa City. Give me a game. Give me a game. Minnesota has been the 6th best team in the Big Ten since PJ Fleck came on aboard. 6th. Google it. Look at the records. Look at how many games in a row Minnesota has beaten in the bowl game. By the way, Minnesota beat West Virginia a few years ago in a bowl game. They beat everybody in bowl games. Look at the conference records. Minnesota, by far, is not the worst Big Ten team since PJ Fleck has been head coach. Jason, you're gonna have to troll in a different direction here. I got it, Jason. This is about your 100th comment in the last 2 weeks about Minnesota. You can go in a different direction. Thank you, Don Scribes. Appreciate it. Appreciate it very much. Okay, guys, make sure you keep your head on a swivel. Live show tomorrow, no question about it. The Little General is out of town. The little general is out of town. She's out of town. I'm going to be in the studio all day, all night. Keep your head on a swivel. Going to be episodes. Going to be a lot of action going on during the weekend here at PATC. So keep your head on a swivel. We might even do a trivia show. Trivia show Super Bowl number 3 here at Peek Around the Corner. We might even do that. I've been working on it. So keep your head on a swivel. Subscribe to our channel. Subscribe and turn on those notifications. We can come on live at any time. Covering the breaking news and all of college football. Until next time. From all of us at PATC, to all of you, please, you all take great care of each other. Thank you so very much.